Hello everybody, Infernape Shinjo here. Welcome to today's video, and if you kept up with the last episode, then you know that today's episode is going to be the Hoenn video. But I'm not going to waste any more time, let's just get into this Hoenn discussion. So Hoenn's an interesting series. I've gone on the record saying that a lot of Hoenn mons didn't really spark me as much as Johto has or Kanto has. But at the same time, I still have fond memories of this. Back when I had VHS, that certainly doesn't date the Hoenn anime, now does it? But I remember pausing right when Mudkip came out of its Pokeball to draw it. But the pausing only stayed on for a couple of minutes, so I had to re-back it up and pause it again. And if I didn't get it at the right moment, then I'm kind of screwed. But at the same time, I don't want to say that Hoenn's the series that I started falling out of Pokemon, because I never really did. But Hoenn's the one that I don't really have as many fond memories of. But at the same time, I still remember specific moments from the anime. It's a weird situation, because it was one of those things where when the Hoenn anime was happening, my family moved from one state to another, but my grandma still recorded episodes of the anime and sent them to me so I could watch them when they were new. So that might be why I don't have as many fond memories of it, because I didn't watch it live. But I don't know. Let's just get into these pros. So the first thing that I liked is the nice twist on the formula. Because in the first series, Ash was super incompetent at battling. So I liked the idea of Ash being the mentor to May, because he's more experienced at this point. So I'm going to kind of dip into the cons a little bit with this next one. I do appreciate Brock coming back, but at the same time, while I do like Brock returning, it just kind of takes away the impact of Brock leaving at the end of the last series. Because they had that whole big goodbye where Brock leaves, but it just kind of loses its impact because Brock just comes back at the next series. And at the same time, the fact that the Battle Frontier takes place in Kanto is just cool for nostalgia bait, because people like Kanto. It's pretty obvious. So the fact that they have the Battle Frontier be in Kanto is just a nice touch. Although at the same time, we didn't actually get a proper Battle Frontier in the Hoenn anime, but whatever. And at the same time, Ash actually takes some serious L's in this season. Like, I know that Ash lost battles in the Kanto and Johto anime, but it really wasn't that big. The biggest one is probably Whitney. But like, in this series alone, he loses big battles 3 times. The first battle against Norman that he has, the Brawly battle, and the Brandon battle in the Battle Frontier. Now granted, the Norman battle wasn't a legitimate gym battle, but still, it was just cool to see Ash actually lose battles and learn from it, because especially back in the day when I don't think many people knew about the Japan side of Pokemon, it was unpredictable to know if he would actually win a battle or not. Shoot, it took him 3 times to beat Brandon, and one of them he was possessed. And the other thing I liked was May, because in the Kanto anime, Misty was just there to be a cheerleader. Although she did have her stuff in the Cerulean Gym, at the same time, she didn't really have much to do outside of that. But with this, introducing coordinating, it actually gave May something to do while Ash is busy training for a gym battle. And not to mention that May had some pretty memorable rivals as well. I mean, Harley is a big example of a character that's just fun to watch on screen. Now on to the things that I didn't like, and this is probably only going to really be a big impact for the dub, but it just ended on a rough note because 4Kids stopped dubbing halfway through the Battle Frontier. So characters like Ash and May being voiced by Veronica Taylor changed their voice actors, and Brock changed from Eric Stewart. It wouldn't have really been a big impact, I feel, if it was in between series. Like if it would have been at the end of the Hoenn anime before Diamond and Pearl. It would have been okay because it's not in the middle of a season. It still would have been weird, but at least it makes sense that it's not halfway through a season. I remember watching the Hoenn anime when it was in Battle Frontier. I watched the first episode when it was dubbed Battle Frontier by TPCI, but it was just weird to watch because it was a filler episode to start, and second of all the characters just sounded so weird. But that's probably just because they're not used to their roles yet. But I feel like that was a big thing that I needed to bring up because that's what people always bring up when they talk about the Hoenn anime. And the other thing, and I'm not sure why they decided to do this, there was really no big rival for Ash. Like, Drew was kind of there at times, but he didn't really battle as much. Because, like, in the Kanto anime, they had Gary. And Gary was a big looming force for Ash moving on and actually bettering himself in battle. But with no big threat like that, it just kind of made everything feel like it was unimportant. Now, Ash did get some rivals with Morrison and Tyson, but they were included basically at the end of the show. And it really just felt like they just shoehorned them in just to give Ash some rivals. Because the one thing that I liked with the Kanto anime is Ash actually interacted with Gary at times during the journey. Ash has 3 badges, Gary has 5 badges, for example. He didn't really have anybody like that in Hoenn to compare badges to. It just would have been nice to actually have a legitimate threat of a rival for Ash. Especially since the league just felt underwhelming because of it. Like, okay, he battled Morrison in a battle, he battled Tyson in a battle. He battled some blue-haired chick, I don't even remember what her name was, but she was just shown in one episode, and that's it. It worked for the Kanto anime to have one-off characters like that, because he had a goal to reach, Gary. But he didn't really have a big goal like that in the Hoenn anime. I still did like Morrison as a character because he was conflicted on whether to fight Ash in the league or just let him win. That was a good dynamic. If they would have introduced Morrison earlier, then I feel like that would have made more impact, but it just didn't hit. Shoot, I actually forgot one of my points. And all I wrote down was Max. I think it's pretty safe to say that there are very few people in the community, whether PokeTubers or just viewers regardless, that just didn't really like Max. And I can kind of see why. His debut has him be basically a jerk. It's just like, actually Ash, if you would have done this in the Johto League, you would have won. And Max's whole personality is that he's just a brainiac, and just like, I don't think many people like that. He does have some moments of development with his interactions with random Pokemon in the series, like the Ralts, the Poochyena, the Deoxys, even the Jirachi in the movie, but I'm not really going to discuss the movie too much. Max had different Pokemon encounters, but at the same time, he didn't really develop much. Like, the biggest development was when he got upset that Norman lost to Ash. But other than that, Max was just there. Max didn't really do much. Honestly, I know I said earlier about how Brock returning shouldn't have happened, but at the same time, I feel like they could have done something with the journey just being Ash, May, and Max, and just tweak Max a little bit to make him a more likable character. At the same time, I'm not a writer, so I'm not sure how they could do that, but at the same time, I will say the Hoenn anime had a larger cast than Kanto, and it definitely took a chance with that, especially since one of them didn't even have a Pokemon. There were some changes that were nice, especially splitting up the starters between 3 different people, but not giving Ash a real rival in the series kind of made things unimportant, and made it feel like things didn't actually matter whether Ash lost or not. But those are my thoughts on the Hoenn anime. Let me know what you think. Again, I could have gone into more detail on stuff, but there's just a lot to discuss. At the same time, if there's something that I feel like I need to discuss, then I can just include something in when I'm editing the video. But let me know what you think about this video. Let me know if you agree with what I said, what you disagree with. But get ready, because we're going to tackle one of my favorite anime next time. That is the Sinnoh anime. I'll see you then. Momentai.